Hello and welcome back to another video for FS25. So in this one, it is going to be about your neighbours. It says FS25 features a small ensemble of characters to talk to, NPCs, if you decide to talk to them. Let's learn more about them, how they work, who they are, and what you can talk to them about. So adding characters and guidance. They wanted to make the towns a bit more lively, so you can meet a handful of virtual people brought to life by real voice actors. Each character has their own personality and area of expertise. Because we're able to create the characters without drawing developer resources from other game features, we added them as a side bonus. To provide especially new virtual farmers some touching points in the form of guidance, they offer some advice and help for the farming basics. If you want to know more about them, you can just casually talk to them and see what spontaneously comes to mind. Sometimes they might ask you what you think. They may also need a helping hand and offer you some contract when there's something to be done in the neighbourhood. So first off, we're going to take a look at Grandpa Walter. As is traditional in farming, the farm is passed down from generation to generation. In this case, however, Grandpa Walter isn't passing the farm on to his son, who would normally be next in line, but wanted to explore life another way away from the countryside. Walter will share with you some of its experience and tell you more about the history of the family farm, and send you to his trusted old friend and helper if you require assistance for modern agriculture. It says here on the website, it says, I'm doing this for a while now. Despite all the modernization, there are still farmers sitting on tractors, right? My own grandfather, yes, I had one too. He was old school, and I mean the actual definition. He did everything on horseback, ploughing, sowing, getting to town, delivering his produce to the market, as did most of the others. Horses were the backbone of it all. Back then, a significant portion of his farm was about horse breeding and selling strong, healthy mares and stallions to other farmers. Then tractors became a thing, slowly at first, then more and more horses were retired from ploughing duty. Now we're moving on to Helper Ben. He's been a trusted friend of Walter's for more than 30 years. Ben can tell beginners more about the farming basics, how to sow and harvest crops, operating the machines for various field working steps, and more. He's always near the starting farm. It says here as well, just below the photo, it's got, well, since your grandfather slowed down, he didn't really bother with the latest machines and did a lot of stuff, well, in an old school kind of way. That's probably why he sent you to me. I'm an avid reader of all those agricultural magazines, you know. Old, but still learning. If you come to me, I can help make sure everything grows well in the fields. And you can see here with the screenshot, it says you've got different options because you can reply to them and kind of have a conversation. So you can say, like, what's the difference between ploughs and cultivators? What types of ploughs are there? And what types of cultivators are there? How and when do I plough? And how and when do I cultivate? So there's more than just you go to them and they just tell you things and then you go about your business. You can interact with them, ask them things, and it's like the help menu, but more of an interactive way of doing it. It keeps you kind of involved in the game, and it brings a whole new life to the game, I think, as well. But next up we have Neighbour David. He is not a farmer, but he tries to be, so already that tells me maybe not the guy to go to. However, he's a beginner. He made some mistakes on the way and will warn others not to repeat them. In return, you may tell him that it would be better for him to learn operating a baler instead of opening a hotel with wellness treatments, offering people to sleep on the fresh hay, which he heard from others is a thing. Already this isn't shaping up to be the best for Neighbour David. Additionally, being from the city, he can explain his perspective on both city life and living in the country, and how he learned to really appreciate farming when he put his hands into the soil himself. It says here below the photo as well, we'll just read this quick paragraph. It says, sure, there are reasons for that. Growing practices so we can feed the population with huge amounts of food, for example. Then, I learned that produce for mass markets is often harvested before it's fully ripe to withstand transportation and storage. Refrigeration, humidity control, long periods of storage, and so on. That all of these can affect the flavour and what you can taste and smell. Never thought about that when I was still a common city boy, but now I know and appreciate what I harvest with my own hands even more than now. Well, I'm not really liking Neighbour David at the moment. It might be different once we get the game and we speak to him and we get to know a bit more about him as we go through the menus with that NPC. But it sounds like he's failed with the wellness treatments from opening a hotel, and he should be operating a baler. I don't think he's maybe one of the more trusted ones, if I'm honest. But let's move on to the next one. There is one more after this. This one's animal farmer Katie. So after traveling the world, Katie came home and took over the animal farm from her family. She's a hands-on person and can explain the basics of livestock farming. If you want to know more about her, she can share some personal stories and anecdotes from her travels. Most of her anecdotes include animals in some way, and some of her stories are just myths she collected here and there. She's not always serious. It says below the photo here, "Aren't you a curious one?" When I was reading about medieval farming, I was reminded that I really loved our farm and the country life surrounded by nature, animals and livestock. So I changed my major agricultural sciences and only minored in history. Can't escape your family's legacy sometimes. When I finished college, I travelled the world and worked on farms to see what they were doing in other countries and cultures. So she's the go-to if you need help with your animals. Last up for our NPCs, we've got Lumberjack Noah. Noah is a local forester and lumberjack. His main profession is taking care of the forest, making sure it's handled with respect. If needed, he can explain the forestry basics. But he prefers to talk more about wood carving, even though his well-crafted objects are usually not as practical as he thinks, if you are free to point out flaws in his designs. Since he also likes detective stories, he will pursue anyone who leaves an empty can of Fizzy Spray's lemonade in the forest. Prepare to get a preventative lesson on how to behave in the woods. Right, underneath the photo here we've got a little blurb as well we're going to read out. It says, "This is what some people think of me and my profession, and it fills me with emotions on the negative side. It is important to handle any forest with care and respect to leave its overall structure intact. I just want to make sure that you know my job is not to eliminate all the trees around here. We take what we need, we replace it, and we're respectful of the forest and its inhabitants." And also helps David so he can meditate in one of his clearings. He already got a lesson on littering in the woods. I'm a bit skeptical, but I believe him when he says that it fell out of his pocket. He stays under surveillance nonetheless. Well, that wraps up the video for the NPCs, so we've met most of them. I don't know if there is any more or if that is all of them. As we know, Giants is releasing bits and bobs every week. It started off every Friday they would release things, and now it's turning out to different days of the week. I think it's going to turn out to, the closer we get to the week before launch on the 12th of November, it's going to be every single day we're going to get updates and things about the game. I think the last week they're going to leave the really big things, like they mentioned in the last one with the construction and town projects, which was the video just before this. They mentioned about something coming that was bigger than the overall community project, like what we would think of as the roller coaster in Silver Run Forest. I think there's going to be really big things to come, and already this is shaping up to be a great game, just with what we've got already and not knowing what is still to come, which I'm assuming is bigger and better than what we've already got. But we're going to leave this video here, and we will see what comes up next time. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you keep updated with these FS25 updates. They are weekly, and due to the internet going out, obviously I think you all know what's happened. We have now got it back. The videos are going to come quite quickly and quite fast. We are kind of getting up to date with all the information. It's just trying to get it processed and up and online. So thank you for staying patient with me, but I will try and bring you all of the things as they come out. I think next up is going to be the fact sheet collections, but I think that's going to be a shorts video. It may not be, it may be a full length, because I know I have seen a few of the shorts. They've popped up in my shorts feed as I'm going through looking at videos, and it sounds to me like I'm running through it far too quickly. I think I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to mention a couple big ones in shorts every week, but I'm going to do a full length video of the whole fact sheet collection that comes out that day on the Friday, to spread it out so I'm not talking so fast. But thank you for staying patient this last few days, and I hope you have been caught up to date. So that is the Your Neighbours section of FS25 of the NPCs. So we'll see you again in the next video soon.